Thank you guys for being here. Thank you, parents. Thank you, children. My hope is that this will go forward into time as a very useful tool for all of us. But I'd like to first close our eyes and honor the energy of leadership. Thank you for this holy day rising. We are nervous, but we can step up. We have reservations, but we have your support. Please sponsor our causes when we find good way. For the sake of our precious, short lives, please make leaders of us. Because after all, we're here, we're all ears. Guide us to study the chemistry lesson for living from our hearts and allowing the ripple to flow out and into our communities. Teach us right messages. Give us the foresight to understand the consequences of our works and our actions. And help us with our confidence. Drench us in your abundant fragrances and drape us in ferns and forest mosses so that we may know the pleasure and joy of setting verdant examples. Muddy our shoes so that those in our footsteps leave perfection behind in favor of adventure and the exploration of new ways. Let us show up not as stoic, humorless presences to those learning and watching, but allow them to see us in our humble states and able to turn difficult situations around on a dime when that's what's called for. Help us to do the best we can and make the best of challenging situations. Help us put our hearts on the line. Help us put our hearts on the line. Hold our hands as we unfurl our teacher's wings and let the songs unleash in our hearts and carry our melodies over the mountaintops and through the smoking rivers, cleansing and opening those who hear them. We know that open hearts are what heal the world, so let us open, open, open. Reveal our souls to us so that we may know ourselves and understand what is needed. And put us in front of those who want to listen and work with our tongues and our paralyzed voices to clear the way so that we can say what needs to be said. Aho. We are here to offer ways in which we have learned how to connect and collaborate and conspire to be great as a team, as a family. So parents, this is for you to learn how to relate to your kids beautifully and evenly so that we can teach them by our example. And we are going over what to do when we mess up and how to fix it. We're going to learn listening, respect, forgiveness, and apologizing.
And kids, this is for you to learn how to relate to your parents beautifully and evenly by example, how to listen, respect, and forgive.
Really good. So first, I'd like to just establish a couple of mutual definitions for us. Compassion is first. Compassion is first. And compassion in this work is learning how to step into the other's experience with as little resistance as possible. Step into the other's experience with as little resistance as possible. And for parents and kids, this is huge. So kids, you understand that you're trying to step into the experience of your parent with as little resistance as possible. And that means, for the kids who are watching, that when your parent is telling you what to do and they're having a really hard time and you haven't been listening, you are meant to step into their experience and think, oh my God, so what are they trying to get done right now? They're trying to get me out of the house. They're trying to get me to school on time. They're trying to get me to study. They're trying to get me to get dressed. They're trying to get me to brush my teeth and save myself from the dentist.
And make the bed.
And make the bed.
Wait, I have a question. Is compassion a little like listening or no?
It's a little bit like listening.
Okay.
So that actually perfect. That leads into listening practices. We have a little list. Your body language should say that you're listening. So what does that mean? When your body language says you're listening, what is it doing? How are you holding yourself?
Okay, Mama.
Right?
I will come.
And when your body is
Here
listening,
I come.
even without your words, when your body's listening, what does it look like? Yep, totally. We did not rehearse this morning, sadly, but I think it's the right thing. There's eye contact. There's quiet mouth, quiet hands.
And ears open.
And ears open, okay? We are also, the second practice of listening is being courteous. So kids, why don't you tell me what you think courteous means?
Kind of to be careful
Sure.
of other people.
Yes, nice. And caring.
Exactly.
Very good. Courtesy is also about not interrupting, which is hard for me. And it's also hard for Jonah because he gets he gets very excited about what he's doing. So
Oh yeah.
right, no interrupting. Courtesy is also about inviting other people in. So if you're having a conversation and someone else is in the picture, to be courteous to them, what do you do? What do you think in this situation?
Include them.
And include them, exactly. Well done. Well done. Another way to offer courtesy is to offer kind comments. Oh, thank you for saying that. I get that. Thank you for that feedback. I get that. Other
And
kind comments?
to listen to what they're saying
Yes?
and say it back to them.
Very good. That's number 3. Show understanding. Show understanding. So that's where you repeat what the other person has said.
It's like a clearing.
It's like a clearing. So using their words, but also other words, so that they know that you've listened and you've gone another step further and actually gotten creative to say what they've said in your own way.
And
Does that make sense?
You say what your experience was, and then they say it back to you.
Precisely. Well done, mate. What's a good? Let's offer an example. I'm going to use the example that I was going to use in our bedtime ritual story. Remember the night that I noticed that you were being so delicious and sweet to me, but just 3 hours prior you had been kind of a jerk?
Yeah.
And so
That's her new word, jerk.
it's better than all the other ones
That's true.
in the lexicon. And I said to you, what I asked you was, my experience of you was that you were a total jerk earlier, and I'm wondering if you could understand that for me and actually tell me what you hear me saying right now, because I'm in pain. You're being so nice to me now, and you were being such a jerk earlier. So I heard you say...
Well, if I was being a jerk, then...
No, you give it back to me. Give them an example of a clearing.
Well, I'm sorry.
No, I heard you say...
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I heard you say that I was being kind of a jerk,
Mm-hmm.
and that your feelings were kind of hurt.
Yep.
And I just wanted to say sorry.
Thank you. It's perfect.
You're welcome.
Okay. The third definition that we want to establish mutually is forgiveness. This is a big one. It's really nice to teach to kids because they already kind of have that in their bones, in their cells already. It's first of all, as parents, we have to learn how to forgive ourselves first so that we can forgive the other person, being the kid, the spouse, whomever it is. Learning how to own your part and release blame might be
honest.
And be honest. That's it coming at the end. It might be. There you go. Fell out of the poche. Learning how to own your part and release blame might be the most important part of this talk. At the end of the day, if I could only give you one thing for 5 minutes, it would be own your part as a parent. When you screw up, make sure that you apologize and make sure that you forgive yourself so that the kid has an example of how to forgive you by your own example. If I could just say one thing, it would just be that. But here's the rest. So those 3 definitions: compassion, listening, and forgiveness. Very important to establish a mutual definition with your kid. 5 key practices that we devised over the past, let's say, 7, 8 months.
What you
Hold
said
up.
before? What
Mhm.
did you say before? About
Forgiveness. I
yeah,
have to
let's
learn
say you did something wrong.
Yes, sir.
Like, you...
We're off script.
Yeah, yeah. Let's say you did something wrong and you cursed, let's
Yep.
say.
That happens.
And you'd say sorry and apologize, and I'd say, no, that's okay. Instead of being, oh, come on, like that.
Making it worse
Yeah.
and keeping it going. Let go. Drop the bag.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. Very good. 5 key practices. These are the 5 things that keep us together and keep us in conversation and communication connected. We'll be really quick. Bedtime every night, I always ask what I could have done better that day.
Which is nothing, usually.
He's being extremely kind.
Always me who has
That
to
is
do
so
something.
not
for-
true.
Yeah, it is.
It ha- There have been plenty of times that I have had things that he's pointed out. And the truth is, it gives, I've talked about this before, it gives the children a voice. It gives them a way to communicate what's on their heart and in their mind without feeling like they're going to be unsafe or get any retribution. So this is a really cool way.
Or punishment.
Punishment and retribution is very good.
Is it the same thing?
It is similar. We'll
Okay.
look them up when we get done. What's interesting about this is that when your child has a voice like that and can say what has hurt their feelings without feeling like it's an unsafe space, they're going to grow up, with a totally different way of managing in the world, a way of speaking in the world. They're going to feel very comfortable speaking their mind and communicating with other people, not in an unsafe way, but in a really safe way. So I feel very strongly about that practice, and that I learned from my coaches at the Handel Group, and I always want to give them credit because that's one of the most valuable lessons I have ever learned, is to give my kid a voice when it comes to my own behavior. A lot of people will look at this and say that's very silly and weak. It diminishes your authority. I fully disagree. This child is a total example of the fact that it's a good idea. It's a good idea. The second practice that we do is storytelling and praying. That also happens at bedtime. And I want to give an example because this is happening a lot. And I think for me to say this now will reach farther than for me to keep saying it one at a time, one family at a time. When my husband and I, Jonah's dad and I, were separating, and we were very committed to doing this in a good and healthy way, an amicable way. Jonah was still very confused. He was like 3.5 years old. It wasn't easy for him. And so every night I would tell him the story of a little girl named Elena. And I would take him through this little girl's life from third grade to fifth grade, all the things she liked in sixth and seventh and eighth grade. I almost never talk about myself, by the way, like this in the third person, but this worked out really well. All the way through high school to college, all the things I loved. I learned how to sew, living in Italy, all the places I lived. And then I met your dad. And then I looked at him and I knew it was going to be, that was the father of my child. I knew that we had to make Jonah. It was so beautiful. There was so much love. And I kept telling the story over and over. And then somehow we decided that we needed to be friends instead of husband and wife. And so we decided we would be the best friends we could ever be. And he asked me to tell this story every night for a year. A year. You would think, this is such a smart child. He's so with it. He's so together. No problem. He gets it after the first 2 tellings. No, he kept on asking. And the beautiful thing was, for me to keep telling it, it always got a different little tone or a shade. Another part of the story came out. Oh my God, I remember this favorite dress.
It would add on. And that every single day, something would add on.
And it got richer.
Yeah.
And sweeter. And it helped him a lot to assimilate the whole reality of the situation. So I just want to offer that as a possibility for those of you who are experiencing any sort of strife in the family or in the household. That's a really good way to just make it into a story and tell it from the perspective of this parent as a child and take them through the whole string, the whole walk of life. We have the third practice, which is a do-over. This would be like if I had 10 minutes, it would be forgiveness and the do-over. Fuck, I can't take it anymore. Let's do it over.
Yeah,
Let's just do it
it's
over.
a good idea.
Hi.
Sorry.
So I'm having a really hard time.
I'm sorry.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Just like that. Go back to right before and do it over. And everybody knows that you're doing it over. It's such a sweet thing. It's so easy. It's like this, and it gives you another chance. Neurologically.
Let's do the airplane one where you spilled the water on my notebook.
Oh, that was good.
No, it wasn't.
It was so bad. It was so bad. It's fine. I think they get the point. But I did spill water on his notebook, and it did suck. I wasn't great. I had to do that one over for sure. Neurologically, I just want to make a note. It repatterns shame into connection. It reroutes all the neural patterns to do the do-over, and I do believe that this has been a huge part of our success as parent and child. You establish it by just being very silly and playful. We're going to do a do-over right now because I do not like the way I behaved just now. Oh, the first few times it's like,
Oh, mate, why'd you do that?
you're getting a we're doing it over? What do you mean we're doing it over? Yes, we're going to back up right to the point before I freaked out, and we're going to do it over, okay? Okay. And then we do it over. It's the most beautiful.
Thanks, mate.
Oh, thanks, mate. The fourth practice.
Feels better, mate.
It feels better. And the fourth practice I wanted to take you through is just the sort of process of how you can get through conflict pretty easily with your kids. I figured out there are 4 steps. The first is vision. He can't make his bed or he can't brush his teeth, and I'm just trying to get us out of the house, and all I have to do is say, hey, dude, here's the vision. I need to get us out of the house.
That's never happened before. You've never said that before.
Of course I have.
No, you haven't.
Of course I have.
Let's not argue.
No, let's not. It's possible that
Let's
I
argue
haven't.
later.
No, it's possible that I haven't used that word, but that's
Yeah,
what we're doing.
that's true.
Here's what I need to have happen.
Yeah, so yeah, that's it.
We need to get out of the house in the next 10 minutes. These 3 things have to happen. Please, 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 please make them happen.
Papa squat.
Okay?
Yeah.
Then I figured out that the voice, this is the second part of the process, it's not a yelling voice. It can't be an angry voice. It has to be a whisper. The whisper gets through to this child and to most children much more quickly than the yell. Okay? We also have established via Marshall Rosenberg, who writes on nonviolent communication, the difference between a request and a demand. So he gets the right to ask me
We just went over that like a couple days ago.
Yep.
We were yeah.
He gets to ask me if that's a request or a demand, because very often I'm saying something that
It's a
really is a
demand.
request, but it came out sounding like a demand, which is not inspiring for him at all.
Bed. Go wash your hands. Go brush your teeth.
And he gets to say, is that a request
that
or a
a-
demand?
yeah.
And I get to say, sorry, let me do it over. And we go back to the do-over. Hi, can you please just brush your dang teeth? The view, which we actually haven't gone over, but I've established that this is the third step, is, can you look from my perspective and understand what I'm trying to do? And I'm going to look from your perspective and understand what you're trying to do. You're trying to get another
that's
second
good.
on the piano, and I'm trying to get us out of the house on time so that we're not late for school again. And that helps us establish what's called empathy.
Yeah.
And that's probably paramount to all of this. That's what gets us forgiveness. That's what gives us the do-over. That's what is the result of the do-over as well. And that's just victory. That's the fourth part of that
Do-overs
process.
just help everything.
It's a reconnection. And then that leads to the fifth key practice, which is gratitude. And at the end of the day, most days we remember to do this. What can
We be thankful for.
what can we be thankful for? One simple thing. And it's so nice. You forget to do this all the time. And
At Dad's house, I don't think I've told you that,
Yeah.
but we always do 3 things that we could have done better and 3 things that we're grateful for.
Gabrielle's going to get a big high five from me on that. That's very good.
Yeah.
3 things. Beautiful. I thought I would also just very quickly go over what not to do at all costs and how to fix it if you do it. So that's shaming. Many of us were raised with shame as a key component of the authority of our parents, and it's very, very important that we understand the neurology of shame. Shame has the effect of pruning in the brain the neurological connections that are associated with creativity. And so the moment I, come down on him with a big, booming, shaming voice, he immediately, and I can see it in his face too, he's like imitating, the mirror neurons are actually imitating my voice, and I can see his face starts to twist up in ways that you never see a child's face go. And you can see in his brain, I can feel energetically in his brain the sort of contraction, retraction of all the functions associated with creativity and connection and clarity, and immediately he goes into survival mode, and the whole body contracts, as the brain does. A worthwhile note to say is that the rising inability of humans to modify primitive impulses and behaviors is a huge result of widespread shaming in parenting. And this is a really big deal. So when I shame him, and this is for all of us, and we've all had this experience, and we've all paid who knows how much in therapy, and we've all done all sorts of wild things and made crazy choices because of it, he literally has to split himself into two to handle what's happening and like stay present and be here, and then the knowing that this is wrong. These two humans have to coexist inside of this little body who's only been on the earth for 9 years. I mean in comparison to all the rest of us, bless your heart. Okay, good. And my only recourse, and this has been proven scientifically, is to immediately make another connection and go and physically connect to him, hug him, hold his hand. The do-over is great, but also affection and a kind word, a sweetness, some kind of way in which we can connect that resembles love, that represents love. This is very, very important because that will immediately turn the tides in the brain and start to open up the floodgates to the creativity again and take him out of his limbic brain and back into, I'm back here, I'm back with you, creative thinking, clear. Good, okay, good, great. For the moms and the dads, my last note on this, especially the moms though, our heart frequencies are constantly in training with those of our kids to the note of his face changing when my face is angry in his face. It's so important, and I'm just like, literally, I'm using energy medicine and training my face to stay super clear and calm so that it doesn't wrinkle up and do this thing when I get angry, so that his does not get into that tendency. I find that really helps me a lot. Love and trust again, back to creativity again. The last point that we wanted to make is just to be honest at all costs, because honesty is mastery. And this kid has watched me go through.
It's hard to be honest.
It's hard to be honest,
when
but
you do something wrong, it's like, oh my God, should I tell the truth or should I not? Or would I get in trouble or would I not?
And he's seen me go through.
And I don't tell the truth. Sometimes.
Sometimes. Most of the time you come around to it, though. Yeah. He's seen me go through addiction and recovery. He was there for me like crazy. He, 3-4 weeks ago, I guess it was, when Mimi died, he was a total trooper. And I was very honest with him at each step of the process of what was happening. We invited him into the hospital room because he'd been in other situations before in hospitals where we work. We do Reiki on the parents sometimes, so I thought that he could handle it.
What does Reiki mean? You never told me.
Oh, we can talk about that later.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just healing hands.
Okay.
I'm always honest with him about my volatility and my meanness so that he feels validated and acknowledged. So that if you do feel that you've been in any way unnecessarily rough with your child, whether it's psychically or emotionally or even physically, immediately apologize. Just do exactly what you can to apologize. And if you're thinking now, oh my God, I did that just 2 weeks ago, I did that 2 days ago, I did that 2 hours ago, go and apologize. Tell exactly the story of what you're apologizing for. Don't give any excuses or reasons. It doesn't matter. Just be sorry and be with the child.
Fake. There's no one to fake out.
There's no one to fake out.
It's only yourself.
I can't really top that.
Okay. Then read the ending poem. If you can't top it, then
I have the last few notes, and then I do have a closing piece. Dr. Shafali Tsabary, Tsabary, great resource for this. She talks about the moment in which we establish another reality, another consciousness, and we're going to come across this as parents, where there's one moment, the fork in the road. You're either going to go down and be really, really proud and just keep it going, or you're going to stop there and you're going to say, okay, I'm going to take another choice right now. I'm going to go down this way and I'm going to say, look, dude, I'm really sorry and I'm having a really hard time.
And
I'm
then I
having
say,
a really
sorry.
hard time. I'm really having a hard time and I need your help.
And then I give her the help. And
then it gets better.
Yeah. And then we apologize. And then that's it. We go on.
Now I'm going to have everybody close your eyes. This is how we motivate our children to hear their own inner voice. We teach them that process and reflection are our best choice, and that we don't need to teach them what to think. We need to teach them how to think. How to look at what they're doing and thinking now, and again now, and ask, am I standing in the center of my own soul? Can I learn something in this moment that will help me to grow? And can I set my pride aside? And can I remember time and again that it's better to build a bridge rather than be right? We're here so that we can have all of our children developing caring relationships with themselves.
And with their parents.
And with their parents, but that will be the surest way to inspire them to care about everyone else. This last piece is called Invisible Work. You can keep your eyes closed or you can open them if you like. Because no one could ever praise me enough. Because I don't mean these poems only, but the unseen, unbelievable effort it takes to live the life that goes on between them. I think all the time of the invisible work. I think about the young mother on welfare I interviewed years ago who said, quote, "It's hard. You bring him to the park, you run rings around yourself, keeping him safe, you cut hot dogs into bite-sized pieces for dinner, and there's no one to say what a good job you're doing. How you were patient and loving for the 1,000th time, even though you had a headache." Unquote. And I, who am used to feeling sorry for myself because I am lonely, when all the while, as the Chippewa poem says, I am being carried by great winds across the sky. I thought of the invisible work that stitches up the world day and night, the slow, unglamorous work of healing, the way worms in the garden funnel ceaselessly so the earth can breathe. And bees ransack this world into being, and white owls and poets stalk shadows, our loneliest labors under the moon. There are mothers for everything, and the sea is a mother too, whispering and whispering to us long after we have stopped listening.
Mother Nature.
I stopped and let myself lean a moment against the blue shoulder of the air. The work of my heart is the work of the world's heart. There is no other art. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Namaste.